Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Put.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome back to First Contact Radio. Today is Friday. It is the 9th of December, 2016. Right here, our sun sign is in Sagittarius as it was yesterday, and our moon sign, same as yesterday, is all in Aries. So we have two fire signs, Sagittarius and Aries. The conscious mind and the unconscious mind are both dealing with the ideas of fire. The conscious mind certainly for much longer than the unconscious mind. Aspects we're looking at. We've got all these aspects here to Aries. 7:52, just a short little while ago, we had a square. So Mercury, the communicator, wants to come in. Teach us some lessons about communication, how we're going to communicate ourselves to the world. Opposition, 11:16 a.m., where Jupiter wants to expand our realm, the Aries realm here. So we're on opposite sides here with the teeter-totter, and we have these two energies that need to be balanced out. As we go into the afternoon, 3:24, we have an opposition Uranus. One's going to bring some unexpected changes in the way which we're doing things, the way we're expressing our ideas. Again, Jupiter back in the mix shortly after that, this time with the Sun, expanding our conscious perception of things. And then finally tonight, Mars comes in, energizes things at 7:06 p.m., and from there it goes void of course until the early morning hours, where it's going to then go into the next sign of Taurus. So what we have here is we have a fire sign, Sagittarius. This is the conscious mind. This is where we're dealing with as far as looking at balancing things. Okay, we need to be temperate in life. We need to be able to temper all things. And first and foremost, we need to temper ourselves. Okay, we need to temper the way in which we express ourselves and the way we look at the world. And of course, the Emperor helping us to set things in order. So all of these ideas and all of these aspects that are moving against this are aspects trying to organize things, order things, put things in order with this fiery energy. Okay, so we have fire, water, air, earth. Fire is the first one. Fire is those ideas. And then the ideas become nurtured, and then they grow from that point in time. So we're at the point of that initiation point. That underlying energy within us is wanting us to charge forward, while the outlying way we're looking at the world is wanting to see the world be more truthful, more honest. Which is ironic, because in the press we keep hearing all this stuff about fake news, fake news, fake news. And you could see how that does fit into this, because we're seeking for honesty and we're seeking to eliminate the falseness. The only problem is those who are claiming fake news are the very ones who are putting out the fake news. So therein lies the problem. All right, so today we know is the 9th on the Gregorian calendar, 9th of December. On the Jewish calendar, however, year being 5775. Today is also the 9th, but is the month of Kislev. The moon phase for today is currently 74.7% up towards the full moon, which we will be on Tuesday. And finally, over at space weather, the solar wind at this moment is blowing at 533.3 kilometers per second, Our planetary K index looks like we are unsettled, so we are highly energized with what's going on around us. It's going to be like that over the course of the next 24 hours, probably over the course of the weekend. And of course everything disappeared just like that, so we don't know what the heck's going on around here. Alright, so there you have it. That is what we're dealing with. We have a highly energized weekend ahead of us with the solar energy around us. We have a lot of fire energy we're dealing with today. So just put those things together. Highly energized, fiery energy, lots of ideas. You know, when people have ideas, sometimes they butt heads because different people have different ideas. And everybody wants their ideas to be brought to the forefront. And, you know, therein lies the challenge, because not everybody's going to be able to do that. We have to pace ourselves. We have to time manage what it is we're doing, because there's only so many hours that we have to work on things. So we have to compromise on the ideas that we're going to put into the world and how we're going to work together with each other, so on and so forth. But this is very important. We have to organize our ideas and our thoughts. If we don't do that, if we're just chaotic in that whole process, then that's what we get. All right, UFO News is up next. Here we go.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. Today I have 4 good stories for you. Story number 1 comes to us from Denver, Colorado. Here's our object in question. At first this looks like a planet, but as you see it's 100% in focus, so that rules out a planet. However, this is a white light UFO we've also reported dozens of times. Alright, here's what the witness says. About 6:56 p.m. I'm outside. I noticed a large reddish ball of light that appears to be motionless in the sky at around 95 degrees magnetic from my location. It was very bright. At first I thought it was a parachute flare like those used by the Army. I'm a retired Army veteran, and one of my specialties was a red-eye missile gunner. So I'm expert in visual aircraft recognition and have never seen an aircraft emit a light of this color or intensity. It appeared much brighter than the planet Venus, which was clearly visible to the west of my location. I observed for about 3 minutes, then it abruptly disappeared. Alright, there you go, object in question. Next sighting takes us to Ohio. We have a classic UFO disc, kind we've heard about over the years. Eyewitness says I was in kitchen getting a cup of coffee, looked out to see what at first I thought was a very, very large plane moving extremely slow across the southwest sky. It had blinking lights, yellow, golden in color. It looked to be the shape of a triangle. The lights were 3 to 4 spaces on either side. I ran to get my binoculars as my son was a pilot. I'm very familiar with planes. At first I thought it might have been a larger plane, but this object was moving so slow a normal plane could not stay up in the sky given the speed of the object. There were also no sounds. By the time I got my binoculars, it was moving past trees, headed towards Avon Lake. I saw another report made earlier from someone that also saw light over the lake the same day. I'm not sure what time the person saw the object they reported, but my sighting was between 8 and 8:30 p.m. yesterday, December 7th. I was looking out my kitchen window, noticed how pretty the clouds were. I grabbed my camera, took a few pictures to show my husband. Attached is one of the regular pictures I took with nothing in it but the clouds. I took several more and then noticed an object appeared on one of the frames. I did not see the object when I was snapping the photos, but it is there. Looks like a round classic UFO. I tried to blow it up to see better, but the camera I had in my hands was a small Coolpix. I have seen numerous sightings here. I also have another video from a few years ago. When you saw the picture, look at the top left corner. You may have to blow it up to view, but the picture prior to that, you just see the clouds, nothing else. Okay? Very good, very good. Now from Ohio, let's take a look over here. UFO hunters claim the United States Air Force acquires alien technology through making alliance with extraterrestrials. The USAF and UFOs are trusted allies, as the former is testing the acquired alien UFO technology at the Nellis Air Force Base, according to renowned UFO hunter Steve Barone. In a YouTube video uploaded by Steve, a UFO is seen above the restricted test and training area of Nellis Air Force facility. UFO hunter Steve Barone has been keeping a close monitoring of suspected alien activities around the Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas. He claimed that there had been substantial alien activities in the area. He used night vision technology camera to capture the video. Steve said he had not processed the video completely original. It had not been processed and was completely original. He explained that he did not do anything to enhance or alter it, so the video shows exactly what the night camera had captured. The United States Air Force and UFOs have combined their forces, and that the USAF has acquired new technologies for military purposes. Steve Barone said that it has also been reported in different technology news sites that the USAF received UFO alien technology, which then tested in the controversial Area 51 in Nellis Air Force Base. Veteran UFO hunters further confirmed reports of a possible alliance between the Air Force and extraterrestrials. They said that the video shows 3 UFOs over Nellis Air Force Base. They further claimed that it shows the United States Air Force performing a test of alien UFO technology. Some UFO researchers believe that the test was conducted in the area, so no one can travel over to witness the activity. They also speculated the high security areas designated for alien UFO technology tests. Alright, and one more story here for today. This one is the sun. It says taken from NASA's views of the sun. This YouTube channel, Street Cap 1, spied on a certain irregularity. There appears to be some sort of connecting line leading from the sun to the indiscernible object hovering close by. And this video is 1 minute 32 seconds, and there you see our object he keeps pointing to right there. Okay. Alright, so I would suggest taking this video, examining it close up, and there you have it. So that is our UFO news for today. Stay tuned, my friends. I'll be back and we shall continue on. In the meantime, as always, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw a UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. 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 Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
Okay. It is time to demand the truth, my friends, and that's what the situation we're dealing with. As a matter of fact, with this here, this is the perfect time to demand the truth because we have our higher self. We have that Sagittarian ideal, which is there, knocking on the door, saying, come on now, reach for the truth. The truth is out there. So that's the battle we're dealing with these days. Truth versus lies. Truth versus lies. So what we're hearing when we listen to the media is there is a push. There's an agenda. And the agenda is to convince people about fake news. Warning people about fake news. You hear them talking about it in every single channel. The keywords, fake news. And then, of course, Hillary, after the whole Jill Stein thing didn't work out, Hillary comes forward yesterday to warn us about fake news. Hillary's warning us about fake news. Geez, Hillary, thank you so much for warning us about the fake news, because we know that you are a pillar of integrity who would never, ever lie to us and never present us with fake news. So we are so glad, Hillary, that you were such a moral character that stood up yesterday and gave us a lecture about fake news, because we really do need to cut down on the fake news. You know, it would help, though. It would help if Hillary stops creating fake news, because Hillary has been one of the greatest examples of fake news that we've had for many, many years. She continues to make fake news, like the time that she was under the particular attack when she landed, or the time when there was the video that was involved with the Benghazi situation, or the time when she was laying low and she was actually involved with the recount process. Hillary and fake news, they go together like, you know, peanut butter and jelly. So here's a story over at InfoWars. Right off the top of the bat, you can see they have these on their pages showing emergency. The government has announced it wants to shut down this site. So this is what's going on. There's an attack on alternative media trying to shut down because they don't want the truth to get out there. So what we have here is Hillary Clinton, the queen of fake news, lectures Americans about fake news. The woman who voted for a war that killed hundreds of thousands based on fake news now says fake news is putting lives at risk. Hillary Clinton, the woman who voted for a war that was sold on a diet of fake news, a war that killed hundreds of thousands of people, is now lecturing Americans about fake news putting lives at risk. The epidemic of malicious fake news and false propaganda that flooded social media over the past year. Well, it's now clear that these so-called fake news can have real-world consequences, said Clinton during a speech Thursday for retiring Nevada Senator Harry Reid. Lives are at risk. Lives of ordinary people just trying to go about their daily lives and do their jobs, contribute to their communities. Hillary went on to say that the public and private sector need to take action against fake news to protect innocent lives. Well, you know what? She's absolutely right. So when the fake news story came out about Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot, when that narrative went out, you know what? That fake news narrative went out and innocent people ended up getting killed because of that narrative from Black Lives Matter. So Black Lives Matter put out fake news. We need to stop them from doing that. Hillary Clinton continues to put out fake news all of the time. The mainstream media put out fake news. How many times do we hear that Hillary was winning this whole deal? Only to find out in the end that she wasn't winning the whole deal. And now that she, well, is getting closer and closer, she's coming out to tell us everything is fake except for Hillary. Hillary is the only thing real. Everything else is fake. Okay, whatever. So let me show you this here. In 2013, 2012, the NDAA legalized the use of propaganda on the U.S. public. The newest version of the National Defense Authorization Act includes an amendment that would legalize the use of propaganda on the American public. Propaganda is fake news. The amendment proposed by Mark Thornberry of Texas and Adam Smith of Washington passed in the House Friday afternoon and it would nullify the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948, which explicitly forbids information and psychological operations aimed at influencing U.S. public opinion. Thornberry said that the current law ties the hands of the American diplomatic officials, military, and others by inhibiting our ability to effectively communicate in a credible way. The vote came 2 days after a federal judge ruled that an indefinite detention provision in the annual defense bill was unconstitutional. So in other words, there was an act, the Smith-Mundt Act from 1948, which says you cannot do propaganda on the American people. You cannot do psychological operations on the American people. So the National Defense Authorization Act decided that they would override that principle so that they could legalize propaganda. Again, propaganda is fake news. So fake news has been legalized by our government, and they tell us that fake news is the problem. So, I'm just a simple person with simple math skills, but it seems to be that if we have a problem that we're being told is fake news, and our government put forth a bill saying that they could do fake news, it seems that the problem then would be the bill that they put forward. Doesn't that make sense? It just seems like it would make sense, but I don't necessarily speak the government mumbo-jumbo that they do, so maybe it doesn't make sense in their understanding and terminologies. Here is another article, how the NDAA allows the U.S. government to use propaganda against Americans. And these are some of the propaganda artists that are out there. Funny that these are the same places which are saying that the news we're putting out is fake. CNN, NPR, NBC, Fox, CBS, all these people calling for fake news, but they're the ones making the fake news. The U.S. government has unbound the legal regulations against using propaganda against foreign audiences and American citizens. The intention is to sway public opinion by using television, radio, newspapers, and social media targeting the Americans and the foreign people in controlled psyops. The newest version of the National Defense Authorization Act has an amendment added that negates the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948 and the Foreign Relations Authorization Act of 1987. These laws made propaganda use to influence foreigners and U.S. citizens illegal. Without these laws, disinformation could run rampant throughout our information junkets. This amendment added to the NDAA has passed into implementation as of this month. The SMA defines the prohibition of domestic access to influence information through a variety of means, from broadcast to publishing of books, media, and online sources, by restricting the State Department. See that? State Department? Hillary worked for the State Department, didn't she? Weird. So it's going to restrict the lies and the propaganda that the State Department tells. The purpose of the Smith-Mundt Act was to restrict the State Department. And Hillary Clinton worked for the State Department. And Hillary Clinton tells all kind of fake news. And the reason she's telling the fake news from the State Department is the government has put forth a bill which counteracts the Smith-Mundt Act, which says you can't do fake news. So now you can do fake news. So the State Department is getting fake news from the government and then putting it out through the channels of the media, which is going along with the fake news and helping to create it. And they are all involved with the process. And you know how much the people of America have to do with this fake news issue that's going on? Zero. This is all a big agenda. So as you're hearing the various networks continuing to spout the word like Pavlovian dogs that have been told to go out and repeat what they hear, you're going to hear fake news, fake news, fake news, fake news. know that the fake news is coming from them. They created a bill. They created a law for fake news. Why? Because they think you're stupid. They think we as a society are stupid, and therefore we're not going to care about their fake news and really not know that they're faking us out. But guess again, we do know, and we're not stupid. We are not stupid. All right, here's another article. Senate passes the major Portman-Murphy counter propaganda bill as part of the NDAA. It says U.S. Senators Rob Portman and Chris Murphy today announced, and this was yesterday, that the Countering Disinformation and Propaganda Act legislation designed to help Americans' allies counter foreign government propaganda from Russia, China, and other nations has passed the Senate as part of the NDAA conference report. The bipartisan bill, which was introduced by Senators Portman and Murphy in March, will improve the ability of the U.S. to counter foreign propaganda and disinformation by establishing an interagency center housed at the State Department again. Hillary worked at the State Department. Huh. What do you think about that? To coordinate and synchronize counter-propaganda efforts throughout the United States government. To support these efforts, the bill also creates a grant program for NGOs, think tanks, civil society, and other experts outside the government engaged in counter-propaganda-related work. This will better leverage existing expertise and empower local communities to defend themselves from foreign manipulation. You see what they're doing here? Okay? It's a neatly crafted story that they are telling you through their branches of communication, which are the mainstream media. You see, there used to be a time when the mainstream media worked for the people. Those days are long gone. The mainstream media works for the government. And they work for the government to help tell the lies the government wants you to hear. And they do this legally through the propaganda channels. That is why the other day when Jake Tapper comes on and he says, WikiLeaks can only be looked at by them. For us, it's illegal. Well, he's speaking because of all of this nonsense here. The NDAA authorizes that they can use propaganda against the people, but it doesn't authorize the people to do propaganda against them. That's the problem, okay? Now we have this additional bill which has just come out, which is just adding more fuel to the fire so that fake news can be weeded out, or what they're deeming fake news. The other day, that story in the Washington Post, all those companies that they said were doing fake news weren't fake news stories. The fake news stories are coming from the Washington Post because they later admitted, as I showed you yesterday, that their story was fake. There was no confirmation to the list that they had. It was just a made-up list by some left-leaning individual who made up the list based on their own particular opinions. Okay, so we have these bills. They're trying to get passed by you. So just to be aware of it, that's the important part, okay? Question is, what can we do about these things, Josh? Step number 1, awareness. Be aware what is taking place. Be aware what they are trying to do. That way they can't do it. Okay? It's amazing. I spent a lot of time going through forums. Godlike Productions, Reddit, Above Top Secret. I go to InfoWars, Breitbart, World News Daily. I go to mainstream sources, and I go to their forums and I look what people have to say. And I can tell you, I am encouraged to see that people are standing up out there. Sure, there is a good percentage of society that still is believing the lies and the nonsense, but there are many more people that aren't. And I see more conversations every day taking place where people are expressing truthfulness and trying to get away from the lies and actually calling out those who are doing the lies, which is great. So over the last couple of weeks, we've had to endure Jill Stein's effort to go to bat for Hillary Clinton. Okay, we know now that Jill Stein was nothing more than a stooge for Hillary Clinton. Maybe she got a phone call from somebody telling her that it was her fault that Hillary lost because she took Hillary's votes. whatever the case may be, Jill seems to be running scared. She did all this nonsense. She went to pass these bills. Nothing got passed because she doesn't have standing to be able to go through the recount. But look, there is something that came out of this that was really good, because they discovered voter fraud in Michigan. Up in Wayne County, they discovered voter fraud, not for Donald Trump, but Democratic voter fraud. Lots of it. So much so that they said that they could not count and were not going to count the votes from that county because there were 600 and I think it was 10 precincts which they couldn't reconcile. They couldn't reconcile because there was too much cheating going on. See, the Dems were out there, were cheating, and cheating. They were trying to win this by stealing it, and it didn't work. And so now they're trying to find out why. Well, part of the reason why is because we don't have enough voter laws on the books to really protect the voter. Well, there is now in Michigan. As of Wednesday, the Michigan Republican-led House approved a strict voter identification proposal over strenuous objections from Democrats who argued that the plan could disenfranchise properly registered voters. Michigan voters without photo identification could still cast a provisional ballot under the controversial legislation, but they would have to bring an ID to the local clerk within 10 days of an election in order for their vote to count. So there's other articles out there about this. This thing did pass. What they're going to do is they're going to allot $3 million. $3 million to make sure that everybody in Michigan has an ID. Now, most people already have IDs because they drive a car. And for those that don't have IDs, they're now going to make this available. So when you go to vote, you're going to have your ID. And if you show up to vote and you don't have your ID, you can still vote, but you only have a limited amount of time. According to this, it says 10 days. I think it was extended a little longer in the final approval to 30 days. But you only have a short amount of time to go show your ID so that they can confirm and verify your vote. This is what should be happening. This is what needs to happen in California, because I can assure you in California, there are lots of illegal people voting here. There's probably dogs voting in California. People have registered their dogs, I've seen. There's dead people that are voting out here. There's people from other countries that aren't even citizens of America that are in California that are voting. It's just a free-for-all out here because people don't have identification, or we don't have ID laws. People do have identification. And I've seen some really, the only way I could describe them is really backwards thinking videos of liberals saying that Democrats and most liberals don't have IDs. And then they try to say black community doesn't have IDs. And then you could find out when interviews are done in black communities, they all have IDs because they all drive, and sort of backwards thinking to think that they wouldn't. I mean, it's America. Everybody who's driving, everybody who's out there has to have an ID. If you want to go to a club and you're over 18 years of age, guess what? You need to show them an ID. So if you're a person who wants to go out and you don't have an ID, you're going to go find one, right? So same process should happen with voting. It will eliminate the problems that we have, because then you could prove one vote with one name. The reason Democrats don't want to have this is because they cheat. There was cheating in Nevada, which is being discovered. They were stuffing the ballot boxes. There's obvious cheating that took place up in Detroit, in Wayne County. They were stuffing the ballot boxes. They got caught. That's what the problem is. But now they're saying fake news, fake news, fake news, because they don't want people to understand that they got caught. So they're trying to keep you from getting that information. Now, one of the sources that's getting attacked heavily is WikiLeaks. And they're saying WikiLeaks is false news. They're trying to paint that narrative. False news, false news, false news. People listen to WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks is false news, therefore people been lied to. The problem is the stuff in WikiLeaks is true. The problem is the WikiLeaks information is calling out the criminals in our government that are involved in some really nefarious activities. So in order to cover their tracks, the only recourse that they have is to say WikiLeaks is false. Let's take a look at that accusation here, shall we? This is from WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks, what is WikiLeaks? Okay, WikiLeaks isn't just in America. WikiLeaks is a multinational media organization and associated library founded by its publisher, Julian Assange, in 2006. So it's been around for 10 years. WikiLeaks specializes in the analysis and publication of large data sets of censored or otherwise restricted official materials involving war, spying, and corruption. It has so far published more than 10 million documents and associated analysis. WikiLeaks is a giant library of the world's most persecuted documents. We gave asylum to these documents. We analyze them. We promote them. And then we obtain more. WikiLeaks has contractual relationships and secure communication paths to more than 100 major media organizations around the world. This gives WikiLeaks sources negotiating power, impacting technical protections that would otherwise be difficult or impossible to achieve. Although no organization can hope to have a perfect record forever, thus far WikiLeaks has a perfect record in document authentication and resistance to all censorship attempts. And then you could see here a nice list of what they have done, all their various awards over the years. It says WikiLeaks is entirely funded by its publisher, its publication sales, and general public. Okay, so this is the important part right here. Okay? Although no place gets it perfect, WikiLeaks has a reputation where they say in 10 years they haven't gotten it wrong. So here we have a worldwide media organization that says they've vetted all their information and have not gotten wrong anything that they put out. This information is put out in America. It has exposed criminals within our own government. And because of that, we are hearing now from the media, who is a working branch of the government, we are hearing from them that all of this is fake news. Don't believe WikiLeaks. Only CNN and Jake Tapper has the right to WikiLeaks information because, well, we're just too dumb. We're just too dumb people. We don't know how to deal with that WikiLeaks stuff. We'll leave it all to you experts over at the media because y'all are smarter than us. Okay. So, here's what the House did in order to protect people that, like Julian Assange, and people who come forward with information. Because the battle is, you hear the Democrats and liberals saying, this information was hacked, we shouldn't even consider it. And others are saying, yeah, it was hacked, and that's too bad, and it's a crime that it was hacked, and we don't agree with that. But the information released shows criminal activity. And the others, Democrats, say, so what? The information was hacked. We can't look at that activity. We've seen the information. We know it was hacked. We don't agree with the hacking principle, but we understand that what was released was criminal, and we can't turn a blind eye and say, well, just because this was obtained this way, we can't look at that, because we have looked and we've seen there's corruption. There's lots of corruption. Now, there's people in places where they're learning this information and they want to share it with the world. They want to be whistleblowers of this corruption. But they keep getting in trouble. Well, they might not be getting in trouble anymore. The House unanimously passes the Chaffetz legislation protecting FBI whistleblowers. Today, the U.S. House of Representatives, and this was the 7th, bill fixes longstanding problem. Today, the U.S. House of Representatives passed an amended H.R. 5790, Federal Bureau of Investigation Whistleblower Protection Enhancement Act. This bill clarifies Congress's intent to protect FBI whistleblowers who, after making disclosures to managers and supervisors in their chain of command, bringing the agency in line with most others in the federal government. Watch House Oversight and Government Reform Committee Chairman Jason Chaffetz discusses the bill on the House floor. All right, and here we have video of this particular thing. 2 minutes, 58 seconds. I'm going to leave that for you because I want you to get a good listen to that. Okay, we need to protect people who are outing the criminals. We can't keep protecting the criminals. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to protect a criminal? And then let's say that down the road you find that something happens and you end up getting hurt, or your family ends up getting hurt because the criminal that you protected end up coming back around and hurting you. Wouldn't that be a shame? It would be a horrible shame. But if we keep protecting the criminals, that's exactly what ends up happening. So we can't protect the criminals. We have to encourage those who are seeing criminal behavior to come forward, to be the whistleblower to all of that crime. If more of this happened, we wouldn't have the crime. See, the problem we have is there's a big hold upon our government structure by corrupt individuals. And they've been doing corrupt things for a long time. And now they're being caught. And their only recourse is to tell us that the information that we're getting that's telling them they're corrupt is fraudulent. Despite the fact that they keep putting out fraudulent information on a daily and an hourly basis, they want us to believe that their information is accurate and whatever we get is fraudulent. Well, we're not stupid. We're not stupid by any means. They may want to paint it that way, but we're not. We know where the lies are coming from. Now, one of the issues that we're dealing with at this present time, as we get through all of this recount nonsense, is the Electoral College. And we have some individuals who think that they are smarter than all of the other Americans. We have the guy down in Texas who thinks he's smarter than all of the millions of Americans in his state that voted for Trump. He thinks that he has the right to go and vote for whoever he wants to. He thinks that's how it works. He thinks that those 538 people, that small little group, has the authority over all of the other people of this country. He thinks this because, well, he's not thinking clearly. My thought on the matter is he has his head lodged up his ass. And because it's lodged up so far, he can't see what's really taking place. So he's going to spout these lies, and as we come to find out more about him, we start to find his liberal connections. This guy's connected to Van Jones. Van Jones has a PR company. That PR company is the PR company that's representing this Texas elector. The Texas elector has an IMDb page. So the guy seems to be an actor somewhere in the business. Is he just trying to get his 15 minutes of fame? There has to be something on the books that protects the system, protects America from rogue individuals like that, because he's nothing more than just a rogue individual. Someone who's going rogue, thinking he knows better, and being so smug about it. But let me show you something here very important. Very important here. This is called Ray versus Blair. It's from 1952, and it deals with electors. It says, where a state authorizes a political party to choose its nominees for presidential electors in a state-controlled party primary election, and to fix the qualifications for the candidates, it is not violative of the federal Constitution for the party to require the candidates for the office of presidential election to take a pledge to support the nominee of the party's national convention for president and vice president, officers to refuse to certify a candidate for president election, a person otherwise qualified who refuses to take such a pledge. So in other words, they're saying it's not violative, so it's not a violation for the federal government, for the party, to provide a pledge for that elector to sign that he's going to represent that party. Goes on to say that presidential electors exercise a federal function in balloting for president and vice president, but they are not federal officers. They act by the authority of the state, which in turn receives its authority from the federal Constitution. Okay, so the elector isn't acting of their own accord. They act by the authority of the state. Exclusion of a candidate in a party primary by a state or political party because such candidate will not pledge to support the party's nominees is a method of securing party candidates in the general election who are pledged to the philosophy and the leadership of that party. It is an exercise of the state's rights to appoint electors in such a manner as it may choose. The 12th Amendment does not bar a political party from requiring a candidate for presidential elector in its primary a pledge to support the nominee at the convention. The requirement of a pledge does not deny equal protection or due process under the 14th Amendment. Okay, so that's the basics of it. So I can't imagine that we're going to go into this electoral process and you're going to have these people get together from the state and you're going to have individuals who are just going to decide to go rogue, and that's going to be okay. I'd have to imagine that there's some checks in place that if a person from the state goes up and votes against what they're supposed to, that person would get replaced. I can't imagine that we wouldn't have something like that in place. Especially when here you got a guy so vocal about how he's going to go out there and do this because he believes he's being moral. Moral? You just are on an ego trip, dude, thinking that you know better than the rest of the country. And the reasons you're spouting are the reasons that the mainstream media give. So in other words, you're listening to the fake news and you're believing it's real, and based on the fake news, you're going to go out into the world and you're going to make a decision that you believe is moral. You have no clue what you're talking about, dude. You are out of your freaking mind. And you want to betray America. You shouldn't be an elector. If that's where you're coming from, you should not be an elector. Because you don't have the morality to do so. If you're that smug, if your ego is so big that you think you can deny what America wants and go in and make what you think is a better decision, then I think you're going to find out that that's not going to be so easily done. I think you're going to find that out. So I want you to remember this, Bill, my friends. 1952. Electors can't just go do whatever they want. There's a lot more restrictions in place than I believe we're being told about. Now, in order to understand all of this going on and understand all of the lies, the fake news, and all this stuff, we need to find out, where did it come from? Why is this going on? Did it just start? Or has this been going on for a while? It's been going on for a long, long, long time. So here's an exercise for you for the weekend. Something to watch and to learn from. This is a piece. Myron Fagan exposes the Illuminati. Okay. Myron Fagan, Hollywood guy, I think is writer, director. Anyway, this is a great piece, 2.5 hours long, in which he discusses the Illuminati, the origins of the Illuminati, their agenda, and how over all these years it is playing itself out. Listen to this. It's a very informative piece, and you will understand how and why we are controlled, and how those back in 1700s put forth this agenda, not to be completed in their lifetimes, but to be completed in the lifetimes of their ancestors. They put forth this agenda that included such things as misinformation, lies, and deceit, all with the purpose of gaining power and gaining control. This has been going on for a long while. The system that has been used by the media, well, it's been used for a long while. They're really good at it because a lot of people believe the lies the media tells, and now they're in the situation where they're hearing the same media they trust, or not trust so much more these days, continuing to talk about the fake news that others are doing when we all see the fake news they're doing. So check this piece out. It will really help you to get an understanding of the depth of the problem we are facing. Okay? So I think that is the big challenge we have. Now, I know, because I'm listening and watching what people have to say, and there's a lot of concern about Donald Trump. The left, the liberal side, is very, very concerned about every single move he makes, as if every liberal individual out there understands how to make it all work better. They seem like they're experts. They spout out things like, he doesn't have a foreign policy agenda, as if they, in their infinite wisdom, do, or, for that matter, know anything about a foreign policy agenda. You hear people who are college students that, are still trying to figure out life saying Donald Trump is not a good person. He's not a good businessman. They're clueless. Clueless. I believe Donald Trump is of God. I believe Trump, Pence, which sounds like trumpets, is a word clue to let us know that we are in end times. And I believe the trumpet that is going to be blaring is a trumpet announcing that God is stepping back into the affairs of humankind, that God has watched for a while and now it's time to take action. And even go further, when I look at the entire system that Donald Trump is up against, I see the entire system as the beast system, the beast with many heads. And so I truly believe, and this is after much prayer and meditation on the subject, I truly feel and believe that the energy around Donald Trump is that of Archangel Michael. And I feel like what we're watching is a recreation of Archangel Michael battling the beast. And we know the story where the beast gets cast out. Michael destroys and defeats the beast. So there is the promise of what's ahead. And that's what I truly believe is taking place. So as I watch what is unfolding, that is the place and the perspective that I see it coming from. Okay? So let's switch gears here. Here's an article called The Current Spiritual Shift from a Scientific Perspective. Says, so I am here, a man who considers himself quite scientific, about to try to explain the current spiritual shift from a scientific perspective. This is by Prism Pants, guest writer at In5D. By about age 27, I adopted an extremely scientific worldview. I had written off previous spiritual experiences of phenomena of the brain. I heard people talking about 2012 as the time when a great spiritual awakening was going to happen. And I watched it roll by and nothing seemed to change. I wasn't surprised. Back then I was convinced Earth was going to hell in a handbasket and no magical day was going to be changing that. Then in May 2014, something strange happened to me. I was in Nashville airport and I was suddenly struck with the most amazing sense of clarity and grace. It was the beginning of what would become an incredible spiritual awakening. All right, so So here we go. It says, my take from this is a little different than most who experience the oneness and the wholeness of the universe. I'm trying to understand it as a scientist. Anyway, for those of you who aren't aware, there is a mass consciousness shift happening on the planet right now. Millions and millions of people are beginning to awaken to the state of consciousness, which has rarely been accessed in human history. It's called the state of consciousness. People have described the saints, mystics, and religious figures. It's called many things: Christ consciousness, Buddha consciousness, but I prefer the more modern term, unity consciousness. Okay, so even scientists are getting in upon this game here, understanding that there is something taking place very significant for all of humanity. Okay, it's a wave of energy that's coming in. Nobody is immune from it. So with all of these changes which are taking place, and all that people think that they are doing in life, everyone's affected. We're all affected. So keep that in mind. Let's close our eyes and do our meditation for today. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. And another breath. And exhale. Now, just imagine ourselves looking at the world. We see the world And we can see for the moment all of the energy moving around the world. We see the energy moving and affecting each and everybody, and we experience it as a sea of energy. And we see people walking and moving through the sea of energy, being affected by the words that are floating around. We see that every bit of communication that's put into the world affects this sea of energy. We understand that there are those who are trying to affect the sea of energy by filling it with confusion, deception, misdirection. And as those energies go out, they provide confusion to many folks. And we see this and we know that we can counteract it. So when we see this type of misdirection and misinformation, we simply send and imagine sending from our third eye a ray of light out into that area. Let's imagine the color indigo from our third eye, like a beam of light shooting out in that area and dissipating the lies, dissipating the distractions, the distortions. And as we continue to move through the world, sending out rays of light, rays of truthfulness, we continue to break through these webs of deception. We imagine Archangel Michael joining us in this battle and using his sword of protection to cut through all of the cords of distraction and discontent that are connected to each and every individual. And as these cords fall away, these cords that are connecting us to the lies, we find ourselves freed up like a prisoner whose chain has just been released. And so we see these chains of distrust, of lies falling away. And we feel ourselves becoming stronger in the truth. And the stronger we become, the more we can send out energy to help energize our brothers and our sisters to see through this truth as well. And then we imagine the rains come and they wash away all of the residual darkness, all of the residual disinformation. And we imagine the sun coming up and we see things clearly, truthfully. And we find that the lies and deception are simply being washed away. And let's just imagine a wave of water washing away out to sea all of the lies and the deception. Let's imagine all of those who are the liars and the deceivers floating along with it, seeing them just being washed out to sea to be recycled. And as we see the liars and the deceivers being washed away and cleansed, we're left with the truth bearers, with the lovers, with those wanting to do good things. And so we go about our business doing good things, and as we do good things, others do good things, and so on, till eventually we are all doing good things. And we are all on guard against any deceptions that try to come our way ever again. Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, thank you for the blessings of this day. Thank you for the light of the Christ that emanates from your presence out into all things. Thank you for the opportunity this day to clear away the distractions, the distortions, and the lies, that we may all see the light, this Christ light of truth that shines in each and every one of us. And may we be strong enough to allow this light to shine into the world this day and all days forth, that darkness may be dissipated, and your kingdom, God, may be revealed here on earth through all who are here to proclaim your glory. So let the subconscious mind continue on the journey, observing, sending out light and energy to contradict the darkness and the lies. And let's bring the conscious mind back together, back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. All right, my friends, that is it for today. That's it for the week. We've made it through another week. Let's see what the stories are going to take place today. Just remember, the only fake news that's coming our way is coming from those who are in positions of power trying to tell us that we are the fakers. We're not the fakers. They're faking it. They've got the laws on the books. They're trying to deceive us. But guess what? We're not going to be deceived because we're not stupid. We're on top of what's going on. And their time is over. Their lies of deception is over. The truth is here. The truth shall set us free, and it's setting all of us free, my friends. So don't be afraid of their lies, of their darkness. Just shine the light into it. And as we're seeing now of them running and crying and looking for safe spaces, that's exactly what they'll be left to do. Because the truth cannot be held back. God cannot be held back. All we have to do is let it shine, my friends, because it's flowing right through us, out and out into the world, this moment and all moments. Have yourselves an awesome weekend. I'll be back next week, and we shall continue on. I love you. Keep loving each other, and I will talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.